Hi, my name is Chris Sturhan. Welcome to another episode of Drinks from Eddie Muller's Noir Bar. Each week I take a chapter from the book Eddie Muller's Noir Bar, Cocktails Inspired by the World of Film Noir, and I talk about the film in that chapter and I make the drink associated with it. Today we're going to be looking at the film Odds Against Tomorrow and making the drink, which is an Eddie Muller original, Johnny and Earl. Now, Odds Against Tomorrow was released in 1959, and according to Eddie, many people consider this one of the last films of the original film noir movement. If that is indeed the case, it means that film noir went out with a bang and not a whimper, because this film really kind of bangs in both literally and figuratively. The film was directed by Robert Wise, who is one of those directors who kind of bridged the gap between the old Hollywood studio contract directors and the independent directors. He's made some good horror films and science fiction and film noir, and then the next film after this was West Side Story, and he went on to make Sound of Music. Great director, one of the best directors of his generation, for sure. The film stars Ed Begley, I almost said Ed Begley Jr., but no, Ed Begley Sr., Harry Belafonte, and Robert Ryan. Now, it's a heist movie. Now, you might wonder, well, is this a heist movie or is it a film noir movie? Well, I would say both, but I say it leans more toward film noir just because heist movies usually involve people who are professional criminals, and this movie involves people who are just at the end of their rope, and that's why they're doing this thing. So Ed Begley is kind of the brains of the outfit. He's the guy with the plan. He was a dirty cop who got kicked off the force, and now he's struggling to survive because he was counting on a police pension that you don't get if you get kicked off the force. He's the guy who has the plan, and he knows he can do it with a small crew, and he puts them together to do it. Now, the first guy he recruits is Robert Ryan. Now, Robert Ryan is a veteran of World War II, and he I think he had spent some time in prison and still is struggling to get by, and he's proud. He doesn't he's living with his girlfriend Shelley Winters, and she's supporting him, and he doesn't like that, which is kind of why he's willing to do this. He's not a thief by nature. He's looking to get out of this and be able to support himself and not have to rely on somebody else. One more important thing about Robert Ryan: he's a racist. Which brings us to the third member of the crew, which is Harry Belafonte. And obviously, there's tension from the start with Harry Belafonte. Now, Harry Belafonte, he is a jazz singer, xylophone player, and but he's also a habitual gambler, and he's in way over his head, which is the only reason he consents to do this. So you've got really this very dysfunctional team of three people who are just clawing for anything they can to get them out of the rut they're in. One of the things I like about it is that they often, early on in classic films, the African American character is played as kind of like the noble black man, and that's not the case here. And it's not that he's a bad person. He loves his daughter. I think under Dearth, if he didn't have that gambling problem, he probably would be a very good father. But he can't walk away from it, and now he really can't walk away from it because he's so far in the hole on it. But he does love his daughter. He cares about his wife. But he also doesn't like the way his wife's raising his daughter because he thinks he's raising her to, kiss Whitey's ass. Those are my words, not the words of the movie, but that's kind of what it comes down to. And he doesn't want his daughter coming up that way. He wants her to stand up for herself, which is probably in his mind when he gets thrown into the same thing with Robert Ryan, who's openly racist. So there's a lot of tension there. Now, you also have Shelley Winters in the film. She's Robert Ryan's girlfriend. It's a relatively small part. The real love interest in the movie is actually Gloria Graham, who plays the upstairs neighbor that Shelley Winters wants Robert Ryan to babysit for her, and they end up meeting and hitting it off. And you kind of get the feeling that when this heist goes off, and he has the money in his pocket, he's not going to be taking Shelley Winters away. He's going to be taking Gloria Graham away. There is a very small role of somebody you will know if you watch any TV in the 70s. I'm sure you will recognize him right away. I won't say who it is, mostly because I want to use the time to talk about a character played by an actor named Richard Bright. Now, he is a heavy in this film. Harry Belafonte owes money to a bookie, and Richard Bright plays the bookie's thug, but he's also openly gay. And I say openly gay, I'd say probably as openly gay as you could possibly get away with in the 1950s. I'm sure this was not something that went over the heads of 1959 audiences. I think they went, oh, this guy's a little light on his loafers. And because he's definitely playing gay, but he's also flirting with Harry Belafonte. So, and that's not something you see at all often in this. The heist goes pretty spectacularly awry. I won't say any more than that. But it's very compelling the way all of that happens. So, and it's a great movie. I mean, it hits on a lot of different levels. It actually works very well as a heist movie, but also it works well as a noir, where we're looking at these three guys who are just struggling to get by, and they're forced to do something they would probably never do on their own if they weren't all in the situation that they're in. So, good movie that way. Now, the drink. Johnny and Earl, as I said, that's an Eddie Muller original. We're going to make that when I get back. I hope you stick around for that. And we are back. So we're going to be making the Johnny and Earl. Now, this is a shaker drink, so we're going to start by loading up our shaker with some ice. Now, this drink contains two liquors that you would normally not put together. An American whiskey and a Jamaican rum. And the American whiskey, Eddie Muller's logic for doing that was that the American whiskey was representing the Southern racist Robert Ryan character, and the Jamaican rum, of course, represents Harry Belafonte. Now, so we're going to use Southern Comfort. Now, I will admit I am not a fan of Southern Comfort, and the reason I am not a fan of Southern Comfort is probably the reason that many people are not a fan of Southern Comfort. In my younger days, I got very, very sick on Southern Comfort, hence the airline bottles, because I didn't want to spend more money on Southern Comfort than I thought was absolutely necessary. Wow, that comes out to right just at 1 3/4 ounces. Okay, so that's our Southern Comfort representing Robert Ryan. And then Eddie recommends Myers rum I'm using, which is a Jamaican rum. This is also a Jamaican rum. Probably could have found Myers. It's fairly easy to get, but I'm in a pretty rum-rich environment, so I'm going to just use this because I didn't want to buy another bottle. Okay, so we've already done 1 3/4 ounces of the Southern Comfort, and now we're doing 1 ounce, 1 ounce, and 3/4 of our Jamaican rum. There we go. Now, the last ingredient is allspice dram. Now, one of the things about Southern Comfort, if you weren't aware, Southern Comfort is very sweet. It actually has sugar added to it. So I think that's why it's so bad. It's why so many people like me, probably in their younger days, oh, this is great, and then got completely drunk and just completely puked their guts out, which was my story. So now we have allspice dram, which will kind of give it that kind of Caribbean feel. We're only using 1/4 ounce of the allspice dram. This is an ingredient that can fairly easily get away from you, which is, I'm sure, why. In fact, I'm going to dump just a little of this because I think I have kind of a heavy pour on that. Yeah, that looks better. It's an ingredient that has a way of overwhelming things unless you have a whole lot going on. So he's only asking for 1/4 ounce of the allspice dram. So there we go. And then the last ingredient is one that I just found a couple weeks ago, or actually last weekend. It is pimento bitters, which didn't even know there was such a thing, but I found it locally. So here we go. I'm going to do two dashes. Okay. And then we are going to give it a good shake. Oh, and I'm looking around for my strainer. I completely forgot it. Okay, so I'm going to do without the strainer. I washed it. I just didn't bring it in from the kitchen. So let's see. I'm going to do it this way. The drink calls for an ice cube, and usually when they say an ice cube, I interpret that to mean one big, block of ice. So we're going to do that. We're going to hopefully not bring any of the other ice in here. It smells good. Probably going to be fairly strong because we're talking quite a bit of 2 different spirits. Okay, so here we go. We have, in honor of Harry Belafonte and Robert Ryan, we have the Johnny and Earl. Wow. That's really good. I'm not really, if I'm tasting booze here, I'm not sure which booze I'm tasting. I'm getting a little bit of the allspice dram up front. I'm getting a lot of sweetness, but I'm not really thinking whiskey. I'm not really thinking rum. I'm thinking spicy and sweet. So it's really pretty good. So I'm going to call this one a winner. So from a booth in the back of Eddie Muller's Noir Bar, we're going to say cheers until next time. I only have two more drinks to get through in the book, and I'll hopefully be doing those in the next 2 weeks. I've been kind of bad about getting videos off lately, but I'm hoping to get back on track. So anyway, we'll see you next week. Cheers.